Before engines, before paved roads, before Rome, the word car already existed. Celtic tribes used it for wooden wagons over 2,000 years ago. How did an ancient term for a cart end up naming the machine that reshaped the world? The story of the word car begins long before highways or horsepower, rooted in the ancient languages that shaped Europe. At its core lies the Proto-Indo-European root kurs, meaning to run. This root didn't just give rise to the English words carry and career, and it also set the wheels in motion for the word car. As tribes migrated and languages branched out, the Celtic peoples of Gaul used the word carros to describe a sturdy, wheeled wagon. These were not just any carts. They were vital for moving goods, people, and even warriors across rough terrain. Roman soldiers and administrators encountered these wagons as they expanded north. The Romans borrowed the term, adapting it into Latin as carus. Unlike the native Latin word currus, which meant a swift chariot, carus specifically referred to the heavy four-wheeled Gallic wagon. The distinction mattered. Currus was for racing and war, while carus was for hauling and everyday transport. Archaeologists have found 1st century CE inscriptions, some carved on milestones along Roman roads, that mention carus in official contexts. These stone records show the word had traveled from Celtic fields to the bureaucratic heart of Rome. Over time, carus took on a life of its own, spreading through the Latin-speaking world and outlasting the wagons it once described. The word's journey from a simple Proto-Indo-European root to a Latinized loanword is a rare example of how everyday technology can leave a permanent mark on language, surviving long after the original wagons have vanished from the roads. By the time medieval Europe bustled with merchants and pilgrims, the word for a wheeled vehicle had already taken on new forms. In Old North French, it became the word carré, a sturdy cart or wagon found in town records and legal contracts. English scribes picked up the term around 1300, writing "tr" into the language as the go-to word for almost any wagon or cart, whether hauling hay or carrying travelers over muddy roads. But the story doesn't stop with simple carts. In the 15th century, the small Hungarian village of Kocs changed the game. Craftspeople there designed a new kind of carriage, lighter and faster than anything before. Nobles and messengers raved about koci seker, literally the carriage from Koch. Its reputation spread quickly, and soon European languages borrowed the name. German called it Kutsche, French used coach, Spanish adopted coche, and English settled on coach. The coach from Koch was more than a technical upgrade. It became the gold standard for comfort and speed, inspiring envy and imitation across the continent. Yet even as coach took off, the short, punchy car never disappeared from English. It stayed alive in everyday speech and writing, ready for whatever new invention would roll down the road next. The word's survival through the Middle Ages shows how language can hang on to old roots while adapting to every twist and turn of history. By the 1860s, English speakers were already using the word car in a new mechanical sense, one that had nothing to do with horses or hay. Railway engineers and conductors, pressed for speed and clarity, started cutting carriage down to just car in their official documents and station announcements. British railway rule books from 1860 list maintenance rules for passenger cars, and American trade journals like the Railroad Gazette in 1866 described new freight cars rolling out of factories. The word car was now shorthand for anything on wheels that carried people or cargo along metal tracks. Then, in the late 1890s, the press caught the scent of a new kind of engine. The 1896 Emancipation Run saw crowds lining the roads from London to Brighton, watching a parade of motor vehicles, no horses, no red flags, just engines, and ambition. The next day, the Pall Mall Gazette ran a single, bold headline: car. No qualifiers, no explanation. That bare word captured the moment the old term hitched itself to a new invention. By 1895, the Oxford English Dictionary had already logged car as the word for a motor vehicle. Advertisers followed fast. Winton's 1898 ad in Scientific American promised a Winton car that would free drivers from the horse forever. In just a few decades, the short, punchy word had jumped from railway jargon to newspaper headlines to everyday speech, outpacing older terms like automobile or motor carriage. The English car had won the race for naming the new age of travel. Across Europe and beyond, the name for a car reveals a patchwork of history and invention. In Spain and Portugal, carro rolls off the tongue, a direct line back to the Latin carus, once stamped on Roman milestones. Italian drivers steer their own carro through city streets, while in France, the story takes a twist. The word voiture rules the road, coming not from carros, but from an old French term linked to carrying or turning. Hop over to Germany and the Netherlands, and you will find wagen and wagen, both meaning wagon, often paired with auto, a clipped form of automobile that is just as likely to appear on a street sign as in a conversation about traffic. Hungary adds a bit of local pride to the mix. Their kocsi comes straight from the village of Kocs, whose 15th century carriage design made such an impact that its name sped across Europe, transforming into coach in English and coche in Spanish and French. Even today, Hungarians use kocsi for everything from a family sedan to a city bus. English, meanwhile, loves its compounds: carpool, car park, car seat. Each one is a snapshot of how the word car has hitched itself to modern life. The vocabulary for this everyday machine is anything but ordinary. It is a living map of how languages borrow, adapt, and remember the journeys of both words and wheels. Every time we say car, we echo thousands of years of change. Language evolves with us, shaping what we invent and how we see the world. Words carry history in every mile.